Welcome to HammerCast, episode 4. We got myself and Luke here. Luke, how are you?
I'm doing well, man. How about you?
Fighting demons. I got a little bit of Nurgle in me. But we had a good weekend of Warhammer last weekend, and I'm excited about today's episode. We have Dan joining us soon, which I'm super excited about. And talk about this GT. We wish you were there, Luke. Where were you?
I tried to find an army, and there just wasn't one.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Fulgrim didn't come back, huh?
Yeah, he was the model I was waiting on for my painter. Definitely that model.
Well, EC was well represented, I feel like, at that GT. I think there was...
they're super fun.
It was 4 or 5 guys who played EC, honestly.
Yeah.
And every single one of them were gems. I think Tim, I believe, made it to the finals almost. He played Cody
the
last.
semis, I believe, yeah.
Yeah, yep. So it was represented. EC was my... It's so funny. You look at a GT and you go through lists and you go through like what you're going to possibly face. I played Death Guard once. I played EC 0 times. Like your whole weekend, just like your whole like, oh, I'm going to play this, I'm going to play that. And, it was... EC was one of the boogie boys for me, I feel like. And I was glad I dodged it the whole entire weekend. So let's get the GT winner in here, though. Let's get Dan in here. Where is he? Boom. Dan, and welcome to the show. How are you? Yeah, man. Your magic has actually dominated the Hammer Park boys, I believe, the entire weekend. No. Thanks for joining. Let's run through your day here. So let's go right into... Actually, no. Tell us about yourself first. What do you do? Where are you living? Oh, cool. Okay.
Orcs Codex came out in 10th edition, so just
Okay.
a little over a year now.
Nice.
Had some background in strategy games before this. I was a field artillery captain in the United States Army.
Oh, no way, dude. Thanks for your service, brother. 250,
Thanks.
right? 250 years today, right? Yeah, right. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I was military too, man. So
nice.
Yeah,
what'd you do? What's your MOS?
Air Force. I was security forces for 6
nice.
years. Saw the whole deserts. No, man, that's really, really cool. So yeah, it's good to see some military vets on here.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, man. Why? So why T-Suns? Why?
All right. So I started off my 40K journey. I started on Orcs just because I thought they were silly and they looked fun.
Okay.
I really had no idea what I was doing. Picked them up. I was like, oh, this army feels good. I kill anything I touch. But then like all the games kind of ended up the same. It was like, okay, yeah, I stage, I wah, and that was it. So I was like, okay, it's getting kind of old. I want to try something new. I actually switched to Grey Knights, and I was grooving on the mobility. I was like, oh, this is great. This is great. And then I realized, like, wait, I can't kill anything.
Yeah.
I just kind of jump around the board and exist. I was like, well, this is awful.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, so what armies are like can kill things like orcs but have the movement tricks of Grey Knights? And that's kind of how I stumbled on T-Suns and just basically fell in love from there.
I've never heard of that comparison to the orcs to T-Suns.
It's the same concept, right? If something touches you, you die. Like if they look at you funny, you're just off the board. You don't really have to worry about making saving throws because you're like, oh, whatever, I'm dead.
Yeah, no.
It sounds like you just wanted to play Eldar all along.
Yeah, I was gonna say
possibly, yeah.
Yeah, just like you just want to play Eldar. We want to play a little chaos, so I understand.
Yeah.
No, it's cool. Yeah, T-Suns definitely. This is the last run of the index. This GT, everybody. So this was Dan's last run at. I guess it would be normal Magnus, and now it's all changed, right? It's all Zangors now. It's all
it's
craziness, and
I mean they definitely have some points that need to come up. Zangor Enlightened with bows are kind of gross at 80 points.
Yeah, I heard stream today, right, Luke? You were saying TJ was saying it was 80-point unit for 6.
He actually did not say that. He refused to say how many points it was.
Oh wow,
which is fair and understandable.
No, it was cool to see. I think were you the only T-Suns player there?
Yes.
All right, cool. Yeah, so there was it was good to see. I mean, I was the only Sisters player there, and we one of us won, one of us got 4th, but we won't say who. All right, cool. So let's roll into your weekend. Roll to your Friday here.
Sure.
I'm going to share the screen, and we'll go into PCP here. All right, cool. So you on round 1 was... I've written down here because I'm a good host. Tipping point, banners, and taken hold. So just old school Warhammer.
Yep.
Let me just pull up your run here. Oh wow, you played Larry the first round.
Yeah. So I'd never met Larry before. Kind of just rolled up. I was like, okay, like Tyranids Invasion Fleet. I know what's going on.
Larry get third place, I believe.
Third. He's a super, like, I didn't know it at the time, but like as soon as we got done, I'm like, oh, okay, like Larry's really strong.
Yeah. Well, we lost Luke here. All right, cool. So you playing Bugs? He was playing. Looks like Strike Force Invasion Fleet. It's so funny. Luke is our residential Tyranids guy, and he's not even here now. Oh, there you are. You're
Okay.
okay. Yeah. So let's run down his list here real quick. Death Leaper, Hive Tyrant, Neuro Tyrant. This is all Spanish to me, Luke. So, uh, 20 small guys. I got a Biovore. Which one is the Biovore, Luke? Is that the one that should Spore Mine?
That's the Spore Mine guy. Yeah.
Okay. Exocrine. Is that last cannons? Oh, 3 last cannons. Wow. That's the last cannon guy? Wow. What is that, Luke? Lictors, I know what they do. They're annoying as hell. Raveners are
Yep.
great. Stormthropes. Okay. So we had a bunch of 2 units of
Yeah.
Stormthropes. Wow. Okay. And this was on. Yeah. Yeah. This was on layout 1 too. So, Dan, run us through how did this match up? Like, what were your thoughts before? Like, especially because the only Tyranid player, I think, also. So it's like,
yes, I mean, going into it, I knew kind of like I like the Thousand Suns into Tyranids matchup.
Okay.
As long as you can kind of like, they really struggle, especially with no Tyrannifex, to put down your Megalith Vortex Beasts efficiently.
Mhm.
The Exocrine shooting isn't that great into them.
Okay.
So really, the game is like you have to protect your rubrics from the Exocrines, because Exocrines will just full pick up a squad of rubrics. That's devastating.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's like you're not in that bad a spot. Your Megaliths can tank a good bit of his army, like proportional to the cost of them. And then really the thing is, like, you have to kind of like aggressively fight to hold your natural. It's really hard as T-Suns to take lone ops off points. Like, as an army, T-Suns is just awful at holding primary. So when he does something on layout 1, like, okay, I put a Lictor just barely touching that little back screened in corner of your natural expansion by the the one staging pocket in the board,
the top left area there.
Yeah,
like everyone's.
Yeah, but he would never do that.
Yeah, exactly. So going into it, you kind of know, okay, take and hold, like he's gonna score 10 points a turn until we get to like 3 or 4, whenever I have to kind of like come out and play.
Yep.
So it's really important that you move your chaff, like a little more chaff than you would normally put towards your own natural, so that you have the ability to kind of either force him out early to shoot at cultists and Zangors, or you can hold that point against lictors.
Okay.
So that's kind of like what I did on my deployment. I made sure that I had 2 units of cultists kind of hovering right around my natural expansion. I put the first unit of cultists there turn 1. He charged him with a lictor. I think his plan was like take him off with the lictor and then battle shock in my turn if they were going to go. So I actually ended up heroicing my second unit of cultists onto the point, just to kind of say, okay, there's 2 units here. You can't kill and battle shock them, so we're going to be okay.
Yep.
Ended up scoring like that. Top of 2. The big thing is he poked out a single Exocrine to try to clean up the cultists. They survived through it, giving me the option to insane bravery with like the 2 remaining cultists on the point.
No.
So those were like kind of the critical moments early, just being able to go like 10, 10, 10, 10 at the top of 1 and 2 with him.
Yeah. Now, do you play your Thousand Suns like KG? Because like you're layout 1, right? So you have that that nice ruin. Are you pretty much all staged up and then like you come out slowly, or how do you?
Yeah, so normally what I'll do is layout 1 is kind of like a set deployment. So Magnus and the Megalith Vortex Beast in like the big castle.
I'll pull up the I'll pull up this thing real quick just so you can look at it.
Perfect. Yeah, so if you look at like that home staging area with the 2 ruins, you're gonna have your Lord of Forbidden Lore boxing out the front wall so that he can pop out double Doombolt and pop back if you roll the 19 Cabal.
Oh my gosh.
You're going to have Magnus and the Megalith Vortex Beast here. The idea is like you can string your Lord of Forbidden Lore unit back to the Megalith Vortex Beast to get the bonus range on the double Doombolt. You're going to have like your Zangers screening out deep strikes in the back here. And then it kind of depends on like what you're going against. If that's not needed, you'll push them up so that you can, you have the option to like double move them out into the midfield.
Yeah.
You'll put your Arcane Vortex Infernal Master kind of on the upper portion of that ruin, hiding in that wall, so they can come out and shoot either right down the middle or either line. You have almost all your units here. The only thing you're really going to change is like you can throw your other Mutalisks out on the left side on like that far north ruin, kind of just sitting behind there. You'll generally put like a unit of Zangers and a unit of Cultists up there as well, just to have the option of like turn 1 containment.
Smart, yeah.
But basically, almost all your stuff sits in this big ruin, and you're kind of playing the game of like, okay, I'm going to put my really cheap chaff out on the points. You're going to have to do something about it, and then the idea is you just trade up for 2 or 3 turns before you kind of have to bring the army out in force, and you're really just trying to like attrit as much as you can with either Doom Bolts, Magnus Indirect, like any of your kind of free damage where you're saying I don't really want to interact with you until like turn 3 or turn 4.
Oh wow. So it looks like you scored 86 in that first game. So that was a pretty good start to the weekend, I think.
Yeah, I think that was a good one.
Let's roll
Thousand Suns Classic.
Yeah, let's roll into
do nothing for 3 turns. Magnus comes off his chair turn 4. And
like that Tyranids player came ready to play Honest Warhammer, and you were like, what if we just didn't?
Yeah. So next up, you had your next victim here was CSM, looks like, with some Renegade Raiders, which is not to be slept on whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Cypher, Bile, the Lord, 10 Cultists, Legionnaires.
This sounds like the type of list Anthony would take to do rude things to 1,000 Suns player.
It's a lot of noise brains. Chaos Bikers, Talons. Cool. So this was Purge.
Yep.
Rapid Escalation and Crucible of Battle. Still layout 1. So run us through what your thought was on this game.
Sure. So I've played Garrett before.
Okay, cool.
I know we met at the Dumpster Fire Open. I know it's a tough matchup for him just because his list is kind of melee heavy. He doesn't have a lot of good like trading units into the chaff early. I think he's got like the 2 units of bikes, and after that, it's like, okay, if you want to trade 95-point Legionnaires for my 55-point Cultists, like I'm a-okay with that.
Yeah.
Going second on Purge the Foe as well is pretty rough.
No.
Yeah. Like I felt bad for him. So he drew awful secondaries. I think he got like Assassination and Overwhelming Force turn 1.
Oh no.
He had 0 points on secondaries going into top of 3, and I drew like Extend Battle Lines Containment or something gross. So I think I was up like 15 points at the end of turn 1.
Oh my god!
Well, good thing he had his challenger cards to come back.
Yeah, not yet.
But it was really rough for him. Basically, it was, hey, I was under no pressure to expose everything. Everything basically just sat back in the layout 1 castle. I didn't have to.
Purge is so tough, man. Like,
yeah,
because they did all games day 1 were layout 1. Is that correct?
Yeah. No,
yes.
That's home number 1 all day long. But yeah, Purge is tough because, like, especially with you, it's like you got like little units that come out. Cool. If you want to trade with me, go ahead. Like you said, like you have a resource. You're up on resources from the beginning. Like I have so many of these little guys. Do you want to come play with them? Yeah, sure. But it's like you're only going to trade up.
Like he always knows what his opponent has already done when his turn starts.
Yeah.
So he knows exactly how aggressive he needs to get, and his opponent has the onus of top of 5 scoring. Yep. It's all of it is just real bad into K-Suns on Purge.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. But what did you... Let's see here. So this was game 2. Was it a pretty quick game, I'm guessing, with Garrett? It sounds like you had a rough day there.
Yeah, we had we hung out afterwards. It was maybe like an hour to an hour and a half game, and then after that, we kind of just complained about why did rates of Technomancers go down? We talked about the command.
Oh, were you watching Charles's game? All right, good. So let's roll into game 3 then. Last game of the day. Played Zach Heltz. Oh, wow. Zach's a super, super good contender. Let's go into his Blood Angels
He gets like 150 more points in this list post-update for no reason.
Yeah, I think he does, yeah. So
Captain, Blood Angels are going to be super scary.
Yeah, Dante, Judicar, LT Combi.
And they're already kind of stuff that you don't really love because, like, if they make the slightest bit of contact, they just poof you.
Yep, and they all fly too, so it's really hard to screen out.
Look at this. He's got 3 Sandguard and then a blob of 6 Sandguard with 2. Wow.
And the 6 Sandguard, I assume, had Dante sitting with them, so their threat ranges are just pretty annoying.
So he actually did something really smart. He put his no Overwatch captain with the 6 Sandguard and put Dante with the 3 stack.
Oh,
okay.
wow. Okay.
And that actually came up. It was really important in the match.
Yeah,
well, right, because you had your big brick of 10-man being like, hey, I can Overwatch you, and he's like, well, what if you couldn't?
What if you couldn't, right? So this
I actually dared a 1,000 Suns player to do that to my 10-man Gene Stealer squad, and I was left with 1 Gene Stealer after that.
Oh, no.
It was not math, but oh boy, was it something that happened in a game of BK.
This was game 3, so this is Scorched Earth, Swift Action, and Tipping Point. So still layout 1. Dan, what was your thoughts going into this one? I mean, Zach's a fantastic player.
Yeah, so I had just played Zach. It's ironically like almost the exact same setup. Game 3 of day 1 at the Maryland Open, maybe like 2 weeks before this. It was actually really funny. So we kind of see each other before the match. I'm like, oh hey, I got paired into you again. Zach just looks at me. He's like, fuck, not you again. He's like, I liked my matchup and everything else. I don't want to play K-Suns right now. Like, it's the end of the day. I'm tired. Could you just like be Death Guard or something that's like more straightforward?
Oh man. So what was your thought process? I mean, going into this, I mean, obviously you've played, recently. So what was the setup?
So similar setup. So I knew kind of from my end, like I really needed to keep my rubrics safe. Like terrifying threat range from the Sandguard. I knew if I could take out the Vindicators, I was relatively okay as far as Mutilates and Magnus living. Like -1 damage is pretty rough into all his damage to army.
Yeah.
I know when I played him at Maryland, I got some pretty I guess cheeky lines with Twist of Fate and then putting Magnus into a Vindicator to take it out early. Didn't work out this game, but kind of going in, that was the same game plan. It was, hey, play passively, sacrifice my chaff to try to take him off primary, just try to keep the primary close, and then hopefully win on secondary. So I got bottom of turn, which I think was really important. I think if I didn't get that, I almost certainly lose this game.
Bottom on the Scorched Earth is so good.
Yeah.
And you also, did you need the secret mission in this or no?
No, I actually was ahead on primary. So I kept him to 20 primary in the game. He went 5-5-5-5. And I think I ended up on 40. I scored 10 the turn 4 and turn 5.
Wow.
Which, it really came down to a good bit of luck. So I guess looking at this game, there were really 2 pivotal moments that stuck out. The first was Zach set an amazing trap for me. I basically walked right into it. So it was turn 2. He, I forget the name of the Marines, the ones who throw the little bomb. They're it's like a D3 or 2D3 against vehicles. So he put infiltrators into my cultists. It was kind of in my staging pocket. So
and cursors.
Yeah. So I felt safe kind of picking out the Arcane Vortex Infernal Master brick to kind of shoot at that unit. I had a Mutilate Vortex Beast in the middle, which he had a Vindicator exposed. So the idea was, okay, hey, I could I kind of walk Magnus up. I can indirect Magnus with line of sight. Nice thing about this match is Vindicators cap out at 24-inch range. So I was using my Exalted Sorcerer on disc kind of in the side of the map, just tucked away in the back, saying, okay, I can use him as a spotter, give indirect strats for Magnus, try to shoot at the Vindicators. So I have a Vortex Beast on the center. Magnus is lined up to indirect a Vindicator. He charges that unit into my cultist and puts it in kind of the pocket in layout 1, which is normally really safe. So I walk my rubric squad out. It's really just maybe 10 inches back from that pocket. So no line of sight to the other Vindicator. Nothing should be there. And he rapid ingressed that 6 stack of Sandguard with the no Overwatch. And because he's on Angelic Inheritors, it put me in a really bad spot. Because looking at it, I'm like, okay, I can't indirect Magnus into it because just the sequencing, I would have to say, okay, I'm going to spend 2 CP to spot you. And then he could just say, okay, cool, 18-inch lone op.
Oh, jeez.
You wasted your CP. So I ended up having to put Magnus. So there's just no way for me to interact with this brick. I measured up. I'm like, I can't overwatch it when he flies in. He's going to move 12 inches, land right in front of my rubrics, and just say, well, sad times, Arcane Vortex Infernal Master. So I had to kind of just go all in on the Vindicator, and I actually bounced. He made the save against Ep4 beam from the Mutolith, and Magnus just didn't get it done with indirect.
Oh,
so
wow.
right there, I was actually like in pretty rough spot. So
scrambling a little bit.
Yeah. So I mean, unfortunately, like probably the key moment, and it's more. I think Zach made an error. We talked about it after the game. He put Oath on Moment on the rubric brick instead of the Mutolith in the middle. And then, they call Vindicators casino cannons for a reason.
Oh, yeah, believe me.
So didn't get the number of shots he needed, didn't land the hits. The Mutolith lives on, I think it was 1 wound. It denies him Storm Hostile objective. It's a 10-point primary swing in my favor because I own the point at the start of my next turn. The rubrics got absolutely pasted, but now it kind of set up the game in this really awkward situation for me where, yes, I'm ahead on primary, but I have this massive problem of 6 Sangard in my backfield that are just kind of going around picking up a full brick of rubrics every turn.
Oh, man.
So, do you think he takes that game if the Mutolith bites the dust?
I think it's a 14-point swing, so almost certainly.
Yeah, because I couldn't remember the final score differential there. Yeah,
I think it was 52-79.
Yeah.
So
very well could have.
Yep. So essentially, so basically by the end of the game, I guess the other second thing, he brings in the Sanguinor. He lands a 9-inch charge on Armin, kills him.
Gotta love that.
I think the second thing that happened is he staged up his Impulsor with the 6 Blade Guard in it. Doesn't get the Blade Guard out, so I was able to double move Zanger to kind of do the thing where you wrap almost all the way around and you say you're allowed to get out, but only directly backwards the way I want you to.
Yeah.
So that took a point from him, kept him on 5 primary, and basically took the Blade Guard out of the game because I had to hop out backwards and then couldn't get up to do anything. I ended the game with 2 units. I had Magnus.
Oh, wow.
And just the Umbralific Crystal Infernal Master. He had killed the rest of the rubrics. That guy lived on 2 wounds. So I brought him in his backfield. He failed the 9-inch charge into him, so he burned his home objective, and then Magnus just moved to the center and burned it. But he definitely followed the right, this is how you beat Thousand Suns, kill everything not named Magnus the Red, and
which will come up later.
Yes. Yeah. I saw that there's a great picture of all you guys.
Yes, there is. And Dave's here in chat, and he's the one that sent it to us, and it's pretty legendary.
But yeah, the score doesn't tell how close that game was. That came down to a couple dice rolls and maybe 2 decisions.
Yeah, it sounds like the MVB just died there, and it's okay, there's 14 points, and he probably burned another objective. Okay, now he's up by 4 or 5 points. It's tough to say because with Thousand Suns, I think it's a lot of resource management.
Mm-hmm.
And if you lose track of your resources, it's just kind of out the door.
Yeah, it's like a reverse snowball almost. It's you have a house of cards, and as soon as you start taking cards away, it crumbles pretty quick.
Yeah. Which I feel like every time I play Thousand Suns, which is against a TJ level player, it's okay, I'm gonna get just dusted. I will turn to dust, and then you play someone else who's hey, I'm playing locally. It's man, it's just the caliber. It's such a big gap, and it's if you're a good Thousand Suns player, it's scary. It's very scary.
Yeah, definitely high. What is it? High floor, high ceiling.
Yes, high floor, high ceiling, definitely. Cool. So Zach, I'm glad you get to play Zach. Super good guy. Let's see. Oh, you played Dan G next. Our own. Wow. Dan was playing. Looks like he's still playing Mortarian's Hammer.
Yep.
That list is gross. He was. Yeah.
I was actually surprised. I really was.
So we were also. So Dan is also. We really good friends with Dan. We talk to him and play with him all the time. Our Dan, sorry, Dan G.
Yeah.
No. We were at our hotel room the night before. We're oh, dude, you just indirect this, indirect that. Kind of you just take all his cabal points, and this should be no problem. It's one of those things. But they had this thing in this game called dice, and I guess the dice just didn't fall where they needed to.
No, it was actually really funny. So I did kind of the same thing, same situation. I drove home, I was hitting up people on the Thousand Suns forum. I'm like, hey, Alex Fowler, what do I do here? And everyone's just dude, you're just screwed.
You're
there's
done.
no he's gonna kill like 6 Cabal points turn 1, and you just fold from there.
Yeah,
So
that's exactly what we talked about. Like, oh, dude, don't sweat
Everyone
this.
thought that was going to happen.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, don't sweat this. Dan's in our chat. We're talking we're all like, oh, dude, don't sweat it. Like, Dan's a good player, but like, you just roll your dice, you'll be fine. And he did, and they just weren't fine.
Yeah, so basically my plan going into that was like, okay, well, I'm going all in turn 1. I'm exposing Magnus, both Mutiliths. I'm throwing Cultists on the points, and I'm saying, I hope I make Invuln saves. That was,
just screw it, and like, good luck, right? I mean,
pretty much. I looked at it, I'm like, look, there's no way I win this in a long game. The only, like, it's like poker when you like look at the hands and it's like, okay, this one's got like a 5% chance. I'm like, okay, my one path to winning is all in turn 1 and try to make Invuln saves. And like,
which is easy because like you think that's so antithetical of Thousand Suns play in general, where you'd be like, that's how bad Thousand Suns players play, right?
Yes.
Because they're just like, yeah, let's just roll out here and see what happens. Well, we'll make some saves probably, and we'll do damage to you, and we'll play Honest Warhammer. Like, well, especially with the Death Guard list that Dan was bringing, which, it feels as you're playing against it rather, like there's almost infinite damage and lots of great shooting. And so you're like, well, the last thing you want to do is poke out. And so, you would think the death by 1,000 cuts is still your best chance at winning, which I know for Thousand Suns in particular, it's worse for them than it is for most armies to get tipped away like that. But even so, I would have thought like doing that would have resulted in the opposite, where you're like, oh, you get tabled on turn 2.5.
Yeah, I mean, the list has everything. It has sustain, it has lethals, it has +1 to wound, or like all the rerolls to wound,
lots of
to
damage.
Hits, has all this. I mean, I played Dan, and he just absolutely just crushed me with this list the first time I played it.
Well, I mean, your T3 sisters, man.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a little easier to wound you than Magnus the Red.
But I love the thought process, Dan, with this is that like, okay, I know I'm in a bad situation, and it's like you need to just kind of send it, and it's just it's one of those times where I know I've been there. It's like, okay, bad matchup. We're not in teams here, so it's like if I lose, I lose. It's like not the end of the world.
Yeah, you don't just take the 8 with a diff and call it a day.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's if it goes long, I lose 100% of the time. If I go all in, maybe I lose 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
One time, I think Dan was joking about on the table. He's like, your Mutilith has made like 6 out of 9 Invuln saves on las cannons.
Yeah,
and it's just like, I'm sorry, man, it shouldn't go that way, but
sometimes
Mutiliths do just live sometimes.
I mean, Mutilith has Finland Pain too, right? I believe.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's got the 2 layers.
Yeah.
It's just
so sometimes you're just like, oh, I did 8 damage to you. What, you took 2 on a 5 of Finland Pain?
Oh, believe me, it's kind of gross. Like, I mean, with sisters, I have like the Sacrosands, and they're just 1 wound models. It's like, cool, 4 up Invul, 5 up Feel No Pain. You're just like, oh yeah, not that big of a deal. Yeah, no, those things live for a long time. It seems like you just don't know why, but they just do. So I can only imagine with a big hole.
-1 to wound helps a lot too.
Yeah, that also does help. But let's not tell all of our secrets.
It's like the only secret.
Yeah, and they come back too, which is nice. Anyway, we're not talking about sisters. So this game. So you kind of just threw it all out there. It sounds like.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, from like a strategy or what went on in the game, we both kind of looked at each other at the bottom of 1 and we're like, okay, yeah, it's over. Because I exposed everything. I killed 2 blast drones turn 1.
Right, which is reasonable.
He shot back, killed nothing, and from there it was like,
oh
yeah,
wow.
I mean, you play out turn 2 as a formality just to make sure it doesn't go in the exact opposite direction. But man,
we played the whole game, and it just like the dice just didn't help him at any point. Like I think at one point he rapid ingressed some Death Shroud, lost like 2 Death Shroud to just a standard Overwatch from Rubrics. I think math says you maybe lose 1, should be like 3 wounds. So it went from bad to worse for him. Like I feel like kind of like, again, it's like, hey man, like I'm sorry, there's like nothing that clever happened here. It wasn't like
you didn't like outplay him, in some genius way or anything like that.
Yeah, it's just like kind of like one of those dice games that just happens and you just move on. I hearing this, I feel kind of bad because that exact thing happened to Dan the next game against me. I was like, you know what, dude? Like, I'm gonna just throw Morgan Ball out and see what happens. And then, he like bounced, and I was like,
much like Magnus, it sometimes
I was like,
happens.
oh no, and then Vol was just like, okay, this whole flank's gone, and I was just like, Dan, this shouldn't have happened. So like,
oh no,
it's just like,
that poor guy.
Well, like, oh no, I think Dan just, that it was tough, but Dan's a trooper, super good player, and obviously helped me out when I played too. But so shout out to Dan.
They say that no one wins a GT without at least a little bit of luck.
That is
I
true.
count 2 so far.
Yes, definitely.
That one Moon Vortex Beast, and
there'll be a
rough match turning into not so rough somehow.
Okay, so it looks like you're on Death Guard next time anyway. So, Champions and Contagion this time, though.
Yeah, so it was actually funny. So Richard is a longtime Thousand Suns player. I know him from the didn't know him in person, but knew him from the Thousand Suns Discord. Show up to the table. First thing he says, he looks at me, he's like, "What are you doing here? How'd you win your last one?"
Dude, when I saw the scorecard, I messaged our chat and I said, Dan, what the hell happened? He said, I don't want to talk about it. And I was like, oh, okay. It was that bad, huh?
Yeah, just, the old bounce right back to you as it happens.
Yeah. So thankfully, like Champions of Contagion, like Virulent Vectorum, it's a lot more manageable from the Thousand Suns perspective. I think Thousand Suns has always been like one of the worst matchups for Death Guard. They don't have a ton of stuff that can really threaten Magnus early. So you kind of have free reign to move him around, do whatever you want. The game actually started off really similarly. There's kind of that pocket on layout 2 where you can safely stage one vehicle, but then anything else will kind of poke out over the side. Yeah, so if you're looking at that pocket with like the mid board with the no eye, so he put a Rhino in there and then 2 Plague Marine or 2 Burst Drones kind of out the other side. So it was almost exactly the same thing. I had my stuff staged pretty much in the mid board. Used 2 double moves to get Magnus and Immutable Vortex Beast on that firing line and took out both the blast drones turn 1. From there, like it's tough because like Magnus can basically, you can go up to 32 inches in one turn. So you can basically just jump back and forth on this side of the board, shooting pretty much anything you want. And as long as you're like really careful about screening the Death Shroud Terminators out, there's not a lot that can really push up and get to them. Like you pre-measure your Plague Marines with the Rhino. It's like, okay, 15 inches plus 12 on the shooting. So say 27.1 away from the Rhino and nothing else can touch you.
Wow.
And that's kind of how this matchup went. I think the thing that really kind of broke his back here was he rapid ingressed. Magnus was like almost on the left side of the board, kind of like where the 2-inch ruin is on that top ruin in the image on like the left side of the board. Yep. He rapid ingress Death Shroud Terminators to the middle point. The idea, I think, was he wanted to charge. There's a Mutalith sitting in like my like little eyeball pocket, that staging pocket there. So he brings in Typhus, 3 Death Shroud. I'm pretty sure the idea is come in, rapid ingress, move up, kill the Mutalith, and then pile into the Arcane Vortex Infernal Master. And like that's a pretty good swing for him to kind of try to claw it back.
Yep.
Rapid ingress is it's Thousand Suns, so it's really dangerous to rapid against Thousand Suns. So just shift what you're going to do with the Cabal. Magnus comes 16 inches over, gets line of sight, and basically picks up all the Death Shroud. And I think at that point, that was just kind of like, that was too much, and it kind of just fell apart for him there.
Yeah, because you can actually respond to anyone's rapid with just double move, which is kind of gross.
Yeah, it actually happened like Larry, game 1, that was one of the big things. He brought in his Zoanthropes, and same deal. I was able to move a brick of Rubrics after he rapided them to get the shot off. So it's definitely like one of the nastier tricks of like, hey, like, you say like, hey, I can move in my shooting phase.
How many times during this GT did you have to explain to somebody how far you can move?
A lot.
And
it's always like the number one question you always ask is like, can you shoot me if I go here? And I'm like, dude, I move like 32 inches and I have wings that are like half the board. I can shoot you anywhere. It's just like, Am I
Just
going to? Yeah.
just
Is
watching
it
your
worth
last
it?
game, like, Cody like was going through everything, and I'm like, I could just tell you've explained this how many games in a row now. Like you're like, yeah, this is the final game. Like, and you did a good job of it. So I applaud you on that because
Well,
it's
that's good. My brain
definitely
was cooked by that last game.
no, you guys did great. Both of you guys did. I could definitely see both of you guys were tired, but it was a really fun game to watch. And
I'm
anyway,
really glad you guys did it because
yeah, me
it
too.
just felt like we're in America and nobody accepts these two undefeateds. Like that was great.
Yeah,
I
that
like
was
that
cool.
a lot.
Yeah, I mean, why not, right? Like, why? I think
Yeah, we're here
Andy.
to
Well,
play,
because you
right?
want to go home is why not, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I had a
There's
ride.
reasons.
The worst part was I had to ride back home with Cody, and I had to wait for his game to be over.
You enjoyed it. Who you kidding?
All right, so let's go into the last game here with first Cody, our own Cody here. So, Cody playing his hammer guard still. Command Squad, Solar, of course, getting for the CP. The Burgle Dorn, which we all love and hate at the same time. Shock
I just
Troops.
hate it for the record. I don't
Yeah,
love it.
the 20 man Krieg Blob. 3 Toroxes, which are way too cheap for their points. 2 Hellhounds, Gaskin, Lehman Russ, Exterminator. What was your thought process on this one, Dan? I know we had like a lull between games,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh man, like we set the table up, and like I know we were all there. We're like, oh, this is gonna be kind of cool to watch the game, and I could just tell both of you guys are like, we're so done.
I think if it wasn't so hot, it wouldn't have been
Yeah,
as bad. But
I
oh
mean,
yeah,
yeah, I could just tell though. I was like, and Dave did a great job. Like Dave did some active judging this time and got to sit down and like made sure scores were good. Any questions that popped up, but the brain fried of both of you and the clock. I was like, this is gonna come down to clock. I was like,
yeah,
this is gonna come down to someone's gonna just just skip
yeah.
battle
Just go in
shots.
the tank for a little too
Yeah,
long.
yeah, and yeah. So that game. I think Cody got second, right? I believe
Yes.
you got first turn. We were playing. What was it? It was Terraform, right? On layout 2.
Yeah. I think actually no. Cody went first on Terraform.
Oh yeah, Cody went first. What
Oh,
he
okay.
wants. Cody
Yes.
wants.
Yeah, because he gets to scout
yeah,
his mortal wounds and just
Yep.
yeah.
it's.
Oh,
I feel like that's hard for you
yeah.
to castle up against. No.
It really is. So I actually went into this game like I was very torn on whether this was the right decision or not. Looking back at it, I think it was, but I deployed my chaff like very aggressively forward.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw
I
that.
knew his
Screens,
Toroxes
yeah.
went 31 inches. Kind of my nightmare scenario
Through
looking at it
wall,
was like,
through walls.
yeah, exactly. It was like build the Great Wall of Kroot, and it's like, hey, like if he comes up and I let him come in 31 inches and just dump Kasserkin, I have no way to go out and contest a point.
Yeah.
So my thought was like, okay, well, this is going to hurt a lot because it really feels awful to trade resources as Thousand Suns that you're not getting a trade up or a return on.
Yeah.
Just because that, like, again, totally different now that they have Codex, but on Index, the points were adjusted to like a knife's edge, right? So like just losing a unit of cultists too early could oftentimes be like, that's the deciding factor in a game, and you just lose from there because you don't have enough stuff.
Yeah, screen out. I mean, and this. I mean, I've been a subject on game 3. Me and Cody played, and I lost by 2 points. He just full push turn 1, killed a Castigator, killed an Immolator. I was like, what just happened? Like a quarter of my army's gone, and like, so did that happen to you turn 1 or?
No, it's actually kind of tame. So I think because I pushed those up, he wasn't able to really like he's not going to scout the Torox, couldn't scout the Toroxes up and drop the Kasserkin anywhere where they could get like a good target.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening is I think he just moved up the Toroxes, he moved up the Death Corps of Krieg, he started terraforms on I think literally all 3 points.
3 objectives. We're all just like, whoa.
Yeah, no, I mean no, totally the right play. And he killed I think what was it like I think he killed like half my Zangors, half the cultists.
Yeah.
So from there, it was very much like damage control for me. Didn't really feel in the driver's seat for quite a while in that game.
I don't think anyone was driving at all. I think you guys were sitting in the back seat together.
So from there, it was just like, okay, how do I stop these terraforms? I need to stop the terraforms.
Yeah.
There was one, I moved. I think it was I double moved cultist and a mutolith onto his point to avoid an Overwatch to stop the one kind of on his natural expansion side. Ran cultists into the middle and then ran Zangors onto the other point. So it was very kind of a anticlimactic turn one for how aggressive it could have been.
Yeah.
I think I killed a Torox, which like to me it was a worthwhile trade because I was scared of the mobility on the Kasserkin more than just giving him 4 points. I kind of looked at him like, okay, like it's Terraform. I joked with Dave. He's like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna play this mission." I'm like, "Can we play like Purge the Foe or Take and Hold or like literally anything but Terraform? Like I'll play UXO."
Yeah, just give him burden of trust, you know?
Yeah, oh no, the burden trust is not fair at all.
Because Thousand Suns just hate like anything that drives you into the middle that you have to be aggressive early. Like Thousand Suns just like, oh
yeah. I think the best was on turn 2. I was like, okay, like tit for tat, right? Like you pushed out, he pushed out, you pushed out. I was like, okay, cool. He did burn each or terraform 3 objectives. I think he got 1 off, I believe.
I think he got the middle one on turn 2.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, cool. So he's got it. Like we're like he's doing pretty well. Like you responded well back. You have things on objectives. And I was like, man, if he comes all out like this next turn, like Cody's gonna just sit in the back and just boom, 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 boom. And like we're like, this is gonna be bad. And turn 3, Cody draws Bring It Down. I don't remember what else he drew, but he drew Bring It Down. And Cody got very fixated.
Oh no.
I wish I could share this. Actually, I'll figure out a way to share this. But yeah,
I say the picture is great if you have it.
I do have it. I'll open up my browser.
You can do the screen share. Yeah.
Ready? Yeah. This is all of us.
Oh no.
Me, Charles, and Frank all wondering what is going through his head.
Well, I mean, if it works, he wins just on the spot.
I'm not gonna lie.
That's what he's considering.
He does win the game, but I think this turn 3 was super pivotal. Cody kind of, like again, it's a long day. If Cody kills the rest of your stuff, you have nothing to do. Right?
I lose on the spot. Yeah.
Yeah, he kills
100%.
the two Rubik squads. He kills that little bit of Zangors, and he's just you're just dead in the water. I mean, you're just dead.
Yeah, 100%.
But instead, he went after Magnus with Bring It Down, and we were all. I mean, your Mutilate Vortex Beast on Overwatch killed a 10-man Kaskin squad. Which was
no, I think it was the Rubrics did it. It was
the Rubrics. Yeah, the Rubrics.
I was gonna say I'm counting the number of shots he gets. I'm gonna veto that.
He'd have to spike. Like he could do it on the 2d6, but he'd have to roll. Really
it was the Rubrics. Yeah, so that was super impressive.
Yeah, that's real. I
was like, that's normal.
I was like, oh, Cody he got the Overwatch out of the way. He got he baited that out a little bit, and then like we saw him move the Torox up and then get out Kasserkin behind that wall to shoot Magnus, and we're all like, no, just like all of us. But no, it
reminds me of a buddy of mine who I will not name, who drew a card for Custodes, and it was Cleanse, and he walks up with 2 giant bricks of Wardens, and he's like, all right, well, I gotta go Cleanse, and he just stands one in the open and stands the other one in the open, and he absolutely like could have charged stuff with them like that turn, because Blade Wizard stuff. Yeah. But he was like, no, I need to cleanse. I need to go cleanse, man.
Oh, no.
And he just lost the game on the spot for it. Oh, no. Actually, Anthony stopped him from doing that because that was a friendly game, not a tournament game. But he was just like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing?
It's crazy, though. Like games.
Like you just listen to the little voice in your head that the card whispers, and it's like, lose the game on the spot.
Yeah. Now, Dan,
sometimes you just got to take those 2 points and throw them in the garbage, man.
Yeah. I mean, Dan, I want to know what was going through your head when you saw this play getting set up. Were you excited? Were you nervous still? Or
I think I sat down and was just like, oh, thank God I have a chance. Because as soon as I think it was my go-ish turn. Like
it was.
He had enough pressure out.
You went out.
He had enough pressure out that I had to come out. Like I had to stop terraforms.
Yeah.
I think I picked up all his stuff in the north. Like I think Rubrics did pretty well, but
very well. You killed a 20-man Krieg blob with the Rubrics and something else.
But that's not unreasonable. It's like what? It's like six. It's like it's like 66 plus 8 shots, and you have sustained hits on the ones that aren't auto. So
it's not crazy.
You have the volume for it. It's not too unrealistic.
Yeah, you came out. I think you used your crystal, and you used
I used my crystal. I walked out my arcane vortex guy. I gave him extended range so that I could shoot with the Soul Reaper, him and the little psychic warp smite.
Yeah,
I brought out my Lord of Forbidden Lore. Kind of the idea when I did that turn was like, I wanted to twist his Rogaldorn. I wanted Magnus to kill the Rogaldorn. And then I brought out the Lord of Forbidden Lore so that the idea was, okay, Mutalith comes out, beam shots the Torox that's terraforming the midpoint. Rubrics pick up the Casterkin that pop out. And then it's like you have 2 Hellhounds and 3 tanks. And I'm probably still losing, but like at least have a chance to spike some saves. Magnus whiffed. I had to put the beam into the Robodoran to finish it. And it was like, okay, I knew at that point, I'm like, I didn't get enough done. He just turns around, picks up the rubrics. I have like no Cabal points. I think Dave Anderson gave like a pretty good talk of like, just keep the little tracker of their Cabal points and start ticking it down as you kill stuff. And that's how you take apart Index T-Suns.
Yep. And I was like, Dave is definitely right. When we all saw your tell, like you're like, oh man, like Cody didn't go against that. We're like, okay,
you're lucky Cody didn't see the tell.
Yeah. No, he was locked in, dude. He was all.
That's what I'm saying. All he had to do was look up from the table and be like, oh, my opponent is doing a jig right now.
Well, like when I saw you come out
maracas
on turn 2, I was like, oh, Dan is gonna go for this right now. Like Dan is going all out, and you did a lot of damage. You picked up a lot of stuff. The devastating wounds alone were just like insane to watch you roll. Like that was really cool.
It's
really
gross.
well done, man. Really well done.
Thanks.
And then on turn 3, Cody goes into Magnus. I think he fails to kill Magnus. Definitely did. Yeah, because Magnus was running around doing a bunch of stuff. And that's when like I felt the momentum shift a lot into your favor. Like I saw like the confidence in you. You got up. You're like, okay, this is my game now. This is
from there. It's like, okay, hey, like rubric shooting at tanks on points is like, To your point, like it's the dev wounds. You'll do like I think I've mapped it out before. You'll average like 35 to 36 mortal wounds a turn if you get to shoot all your rubrics and Magnus at stuff on points.
Yeah,
it's at that point it's like, okay, hey. I'm in the driver. To your point, like I'm in the driver's seat now.
Yep.
I can kill pretty much anything. He doesn't have the volume to take me off this. Magnus starts picking up 2 vehicles a turn, 1 in melee, 1 in shooting, and from there it was.
The magic was really flowing. I saw Magnus come up in the middle. He like doom bolted, did something else, shot, and then he went and charged another one. You made a nice like 9-inch charge too with somebody else, I believe. Who was it? I forget. We were all like, "Oh, he's gonna roll the 9." Like you just rolled the 9. We're like, "No!" Like he got it, and like so.
I think it was Magnus going after like one of the
Leaning Russes, right?
Maybe, or the Russ on the middle. Yeah.
So it was definitely really cool to watch. Again, two great guys to see at the end of the game. Cody lost, not terribly actually, not at all. It was pretty close.
Yeah, it was close. I think it was like 84-64 or something.
Yeah, yep. And
that's a Magnus diff right there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. When turn 3, when Magnus had the board to himself, I was like, this game is just gonna run away now. And it was good. It was one of those things you learn. I think you learn as a player, like, okay, don't pay attention to the bird. Don't pay attention to him.
Well, and it's real hard too, because like, with the gift of hindsight, you can say like, this was obviously the right play. But like in the moment saying like, well, hey, I'm pretty sure he just loses if Magnus dies. It's sometimes hard to realize that there was an easier loss condition, which was not to kill Magnus and to kill the other things that are just T4 dudes.
Yeah.
And then, create a bad board state in that way as well.
I mean, he also kills Magnus. I mean, the game is also might be over too. So
that's what I was saying.
Yeah, like 100%.
If his plan succeeds, which was probably not
far off at all,
not that unreasonable, and not that beyond variance.
Yeah.
Like until you've played against Thousand Sons a lot of times, and you can say like, I know that I need to go like 2 above Delta to just like really be feeling good about this thing definitely happening. And if the Thousand Sons players put you in a position where you're 2 above Delta to kill Magnus, well, they did it for you.
Yeah.
So that's partly why it's so rarely the right play to go all in for him, because if the Thousand Sons player is giving him to you, it's on purpose or out of desperation, perhaps in this case a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's hard to tell the difference sometimes, especially with guard being like, I just hit on 4s, and you're like, yeah, okay, so this should happen. Oh, what if it doesn't? What if it spikes in the wrong direction just because 4s are 4s?
It does happen.
That's why I don't play those armies that do stuff on 4s, man. No way.
Well, transition here. Well, again, Dan, congrats on the win, dude. Really
Thank
cool
you.
to see.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, the Hammer Park boys did try to come down and take it from you guys, but me and Cody got friendly fired on round 3, and then then you decided, it's always tough when you play your opponent with your teammates. But no, man, great job.
For sure.
Look forward to the next one. I think you won tickets also to like a certain events also coming up.
Yeah, so I think I got tickets to Nova, the Tennessee Elite Open, and then Winter Ruin next year.
Okay, cool.
Oh,
Yeah, Winter
cool.
Ruin tickets are live already. I saw Dave
Yep.
post them up. So,
For next February?
yeah, man,
Yeah.
I'm already signed up.
Man,
I'm already
I
signed
need
up.
to sign
It's
up.
nice.
I didn't
It's
know.
early bird special right now. It's only like $70 or $75.
Yeah, it was like $75. So, like,
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
yeah, it's super cheap. So we'll have it in our description here. Dan, what's your outlook for New Thousand Sons? Are you gonna stick with them, or what are you doing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
think they're in a really good spot right now. Kind of we touched on it earlier. Bogoats need to take a bit of a points increase. Like I know what happened, right? Back when they adjusted all our chaff units, they're trying to encourage people to take more. They're like, look, we'll make it cheap because nobody took Bogoats before. They would just look at it. They'd be like, yeah, okay, I'll take like units of 3 for action monkeys, and the gun was awful. You had no access to reroll hits. You hit on 4s.
Yep.
It was like 5-1-2 lethal. Then suddenly they bump it up to 5-2-2 lethal precision ignores cover with full rerolls to hit, and you're like, oh.
Oh, this
And they
is like
didn't,
quadruple the output. Weird.
and they didn't change the discount you used to get. So
Oh no.
I think every T-Sun's list now, you just start. Okay, I want 18 bow goats. I want at least 2 mutiliths, maybe 3, and you just build from there.
Oh,
Don't you have a way to loan op one of those units or something somehow?
You can. I'm kind of torn right now on if that's worth it. So you can put a 100-point character on them that gives them an 18-inch loan op.
Their gun is 24 though.
The gun on the character is only 18.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
So-
that is what it is. Even if it was 24, it's a little.
Yeah,
wacky.
so like I'm playtesting it. If you watched like TJ's match today, he ran 2 of those characters on his goats, keeping them loan up. I'm kind of torn. Like they're still mounted. It gives them the infantry keyword, but it's not like you can move through walls or something.
Yeah, it came up actually.
Once you get
The
it.
guy is infantry, but the
Yeah,
Zangors
so the
are
model
mounted.
could move through if you need
Yeah.
to, but the unit
Okay.
can't.
It
It
it's
is
almost. I almost think like just almost like reserve them or just keep them far enough back that just
That
take
you
80
just
points
try
for
and
what
cut
it
the
is.
angles.
Yeah, and then use the 200 points on like another brick of rubrics or like a rhino or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, dude, JPIs are more expensive than these guys are. Like,
Yeah, 90. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I
and
mean-
like, you're using those guys as one-shot dispensable things anyway.
Yeah.
So,
To
it's
put it
probably
in
not
like
the end of the world.
perspective in like playtesting, they were like pretty consistently doing 6 to 8 wounds to a vindicator in like one round of shooting from 80 points of goats. It's just like
Well, because you can give them lethals, or they have lethals.
they have
or-
lethals natively. So what you
Natively,
do is
yeah.
you just fish for it. You give
Just
them full
fish for
rerolls to
lethals,
hit.
yeah.
Yep.
Wow. And then they have precision too, right?
Yeah. So
So-
they're yeah.
Why?
Yeah,
You
which
can
is
give
just
them
a little
you can
bit
give them
annoying,
bonus
but-
to so like the big combo is you give them rerolls to hit, you give them the 2 AP from Twist of Fate, and now it's all right. I've got 12 shots at Strength 5, AP 4, damage 2, lethal precision,
Oh my gosh.
ignores cover, reroll hits, and you just fish. And you
Yeah,
lose
I don't know if
anything in the
Thousand
game.
Suns have a points problem so much as they have a damage problem, where some of their units with conjunction of these buffs just do a little bit too much damage. Which, to be fair, like that's your army roll and stuff, and it's not like a bad
Yeah, I
thing.
mean, I think the ghosts need to come up, right? Like I think.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying don't change
Oh,
points.
yeah.
I'm just saying I think that's really what it comes down to is like this plus this plus this. It's like it's times 4. Because
Yeah.
you can do everything on the different units, and in different spots if you need to. So it's really cool the amount of versatility that they have. And I don't think they're like super stupid or anything.
No, I think they're strong right now, but they
taps.
still have bad matchups. Like you're still Thousand Suns, you still really struggle to hold primary. You still
So what are their
kinda-
bad matchups for people who are just curious?
So anything that is just going to
Pushes.
drown you in bodies. So
Yeah.
Gene Stealer Cult is always like the
Works.
hey man, let me know how many points I get. I'm gonna go get a beer.
Yeah.
Depending on the orc list, like Green Tide, anything like that where they just activation lock you out is rough. Also like fast melee pressure. So Blood Angels is awful. Emperor's Children is awful. Anytime you like look at a model, they're like, yeah, I go 20 inches on advance and charge with fly, and I'm gonna kill anything I touch. You're
Charge
like,
you and tap you. Yeah.
cool.
Have you had a
Yeah.
chance to play into the new Tunnel Snakes yet?
I haven't yet, but that one looks fun.
Would you get a little
Yeah,
game?
no,
in?
it is.
Yeah.
It is so fun, and it's kind of like a combination of those things where like their mobility is actually in a lot of ways better than your mobility.
Mhm.
And instead of like popping out with like a shooting unit, they're popping out with like, well, it could be shooting units too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but they're like landing 6-inch charges off it, right?
Oh yeah, well, and it's even worse than that because every like a 6-inch charge with a reroll is fine, of course. Like That's like, I think, like a good competitive cutoff for like, it's an acceptable amount of risk because it's like 93% or
it's like
something.
93. Yeah, it's like Caldor Drago. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And like, you're not going to not go for that. Like, you're going to do it because it's worth it. But when you can only reroll with one thing, obviously it gets really spicy. But the way that their strat works, unless I misunderstand it, is the timing is just during the fight phase. So like, if you have like 5 dudes lined up for 6-inch charges, which you like very easily could, what you can keep doing is you just roll the charge. Oh, I made it. Okay, next charge. Oh, I made it. Okay, next charge. And then the first time you fail it, you get to activate not just a reroll, but a reroll aura for 1 CP of everyone gets to reroll. And if someone happens to be out of that aura, which they shouldn't if you sequence it properly, but then you could just use a regular CP reroll later down the road for someone else. Like, you can't reroll the reroll, but it's like I failed, so therefore I'm going to set up this reroll aura, which is kind of cool. So yeah, basically, like, screening is going to be a very real name of the game for a lot of people if they're playing against this detachment, and screen breaking obviously for the Tyranids player. But it's very dynamic. But at the end of the day, a lot of times you're just setting up like, oh look, there's a Trigon here now, and it sure made it 6-inch charge, right? But it's probably a one-way trip, and it was an expensive 6-inch charge, so it doesn't want to just go kill like JPAIs or something. It wants to do something useful. But no, I think it might be very interesting because like the amount of movement sorcery that Thousand Suns can do. It would be a very interesting dynamic game to sort of see them have to think about it and be like, no, I can also do the movement sorcery. Well, you have to think about this, because normally for the Thousand Suns player, they're just like, hey, you have to solve this problem, and I'll figure it out when you make a mistake.
The fact that it's capped at 6 inches now, it feels a lot better to play against. Like, the joke has always been like, we're just magical Gladius Task Force.
Yep.
Yeah.
But like, that's a great place to be, but it's no more like, okay, yeah, Magnus, what was it back in the day? Magnus goes 48 inches. Now it's like, okay, look, I'm capped at 6 inches. Like, yes, it's still annoying, but it's not like, you're just
it is. Well, and you also have to get the big one, right? What is it, a 12?
It's a 10 to get the big one. It's not too bad.
Oh, it's nothing. Okay. Never mind. It's
you have the CP to reroll it if you fail. Magnus
and you're going to get +1, throw a 3d6 in there if you need to. Never mind, that's fake. What's the one that's 12? Is that the AP bonus?
That's the AP bonus. Yeah, so the AP bonus is 9 for AP1 and 12 for AP2.
I'm not going to lie. I don't think it would change the calculus on the army, but I've long said just like make them commit to the 3d6, man. Like, don't let them choose after they see the outcome and then be like, well, okay, fine, I'll throw another one down.
Can you explain that, Dan? My understanding is that you can roll 2 dice, right?
Yes.
If you don't like it, you can take mortals and get to roll an extra dice.
No, you don't have to take the mortals.
So the way it works, you roll 2 dice. There's a low value and a high value. You roll 2 dice. If you like the 2 dice, you can keep them. Okay. And one of 2 things will happen. You'll either hit whatever value you did, or if you didn't hit it, you just fail and you move on to the next person to try.
Which, by the way, you did hit it, for the record.
Oh, probably.
Yeah. If you want to go for more, you can roll a 3rd dice, which then if you roll doubles on that 3rd dice, you'll take D3 mortals. If you don't roll doubles, it's a 44% chance of rolling doubles on the 3rd.
D3 mortals.
Yep, you take D3 mortals.
Why is it 44? Shouldn't it be 33?
It's like 4 out of 9.
When you have two dice, right?
Yeah, 4
and
9.
So like, say you rolled a 3 and a 5.
Yeah, it's close.
4 outcomes are not doubles, and then those 2 outcomes are.
Yeah, it's something.
It's 33.
So it's still not that.
Regardless, it's not the most likely outcome. Yeah. And even if you take it, it's what? It's D3.
Yeah. It's D3. The only place it feels really bad is on Magnus, because it does add up, especially because you're going to be using him for like your bigger like AP2s and your Doom Bolts. Like, Doom Bolt's actually the worst spell you have now, which is kind of funny.
That's sad.
So it's more like it goes from like Doom Bolt to more like a mild inconvenience bolt, because it's set high enough. You have to roll an 11 to get the big one. So really, the only person reliably doing that is Magnus. And then you look at it, you're like, I don't know if I want to risk D3 Mortals on Magnus to maybe
But see,
do.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
you should have to if you want to
Yeah.
go for that big power, especially because then like the full rerolls, the AP 10,000, like it's a lot more risky. And your
Yeah.
Psyker could just have their head blow up, which
Mhm.
you don't like that one bit.
What's Dan? What's your feeling on this army? Do you think? I mean, besides we talked about the Zangors and you go up in points possibly, but do you think it's a good army? I mean, as a 1,000
I
player,
think
do you
it's
think
I think
this is
it's
going
in
to
a
be?
great spot.
Yeah,
I was really negative on it when it first came out.
yeah,
But honestly, like once you get it on the board,
yeah,
look, you still have, it's one turn of devastating wounds. That's really all you need. You
yep.
still have the same output as Index, except now you get like 200 to 300 points more stuff.
Okay.
Kind of the weaknesses are still bad at holding primary, and you're really CP starved. Losing the bonus CP from Cultists is really rough, as well as
Losing
full
cultists
hit.
in general sucks too.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
lost Coldus completely, right? Yeah, that's too
Yep.
bad.
So
Um,
it's pretty consistent with some of the other
yeah,
books.
it's what
You
they're doing
still
with all the
have,
other ones.
yeah.
You
I
still
mean,
have other good chaff units. They
yeah.
split the Zangor Enlightened, so you still have 50-point chaff units that are fast moving and can screen.
And with this new deck, I mean, it's kind of perfect to have 3-mans running around doing stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
It really is. I mean, I played my first game of the new deck not that long ago, and it's like, oh, like containment's gone, like all this stuff is like these little things are gone, but some tempting targets back in, some
Yep.
flashbacks are really in, and I don't know how long you've been playing exactly for, but I mean, this is kind of cool to see display of might. I mean, come on, like this is wild, like all this stuff coming back. No, man, I'm glad you joined today. Thank you again for
Yeah,
having,
thanks for having me. It was fun.
yeah, for being here, and Luke, you too. What's your next event, Dan? What do you need?
It's either gonna be Historicon
Oh, we
or
got some boys
Nova.
going. We got some boys
Nice.
going to StoreCon. So yeah, definitely. I heard that's like a wild event too. I don't know if we've never
No,
been.
it's my first time. I mean,
Okay.
this was my fourth GT ever, so I'm
Oh
still
my
Congrats,
gosh!
relatively
No
man.
new.
way!
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Wow! Wow! Okay, that's pretty impressive.
Have you been doing Thousand Suns pretty much consistently since the offset?
I like I said, I started on Oryx, did a little Grey Knights. I think I'm on Thousand Suns for about 9 months now. I picked them up like maybe 2 weeks before the big points nerf,
Okay.
where they came up like 140, 150 points on the list that everyone runs, and
Mm-hmm.
just been jamming games with them since then. I think I've got like maybe about 100, 110 games on them so far.
Yeah.
Nice.
Reps wins games, man. I mean, it's when
It
you don't
sure
have to,
does.
when you don't have to think on game 6 about what your army does.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's just so nice, man. It really is. No, but again, thank you for joining us today. We will see you in the next one, everybody. Take care.
Thanks. Take care.
You guys.